And his baby bonds, take 3. So this video is going to be, specifically about baby bonds and Cory Booker, but I just want to make quick comments real quick. So Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke, and Joe Biden, they're going to qualify for the September debate. So we're going to see more Bernie Sanders, more Tulsi Gabbard, more Elizabeth Warren, more Pete Buttigieg, more Kamala Harris, more Beto O'Rourke, more Joe Biden. Andrew Yang, Jay Inslee, they haven't got qualified yet to higher thresholds, so people are predicting that there's going to be several of the lower tier candidates, right? Kamala, she's a top tier candidate, so all the rabble, the lower level crap are going to drop out. But at least the shit show parade continues, right? Anyways, Joe Biden, he's going to eliminate sentencing disparities between crack and cocaine users. He's going to end mandatory minimums, eliminate the death penalty. It's a good start. How about ending the fucking war on drugs? He loves Nixon's war on drugs. He's right-wing. He's not a progressive. So, these 3 little issues, eliminating the death penalty, that'll appeal to some liberals. I'm not totally against the death penalty, especially for your most heinous crimes. But it's a progressive thing, right? I also don't trust Republicans when it comes to them executing people either. So, in mandatory minimums, eliminate sentencing disparity between crack and cocaine, and eliminate the death penalty. This is his brand new criminal justice plan to make up for that shit show, the 1994 crime bill. So, Joe Biden, because he's getting hammered by Cory Booker about the crime bill, the 1994 crime bill, he points out on stage, not very eloquently, he's stuttering and he doesn't even seem like he knows what he's talking about. He's trying to be confident, but he's just kind of bumbling through his words. But he eventually got him out, and he pointed out that Cory Booker in 2007, the Justice Department under Baby Bush, had cracked down on Cory Booker because he had a zero tolerance of stop and frisk. So a zero tolerance of stop and frisk. So stop and frisk, they could stop anybody and frisk anybody, and there was apparently Rudy Giuliani, one of his guys, was advising Cory Booker 2007. So this happened in Newark. This happened. So Baby Bush is going to crack down on Newark when Cory Booker was the mayor, because they were saying that there was a civil rights nightmare. 3 times more black kids than white kids were getting arrested, and 75% that were reviewed, the arrests were illegal. Okay, so most of the arrests are illegal. It's hitting black kids more. So this is a good criticism against Cory Booker, and Joe Biden's coming up with it. So, Joe Biden has some kind of, neoliberal. He's probably like in between the neoliberals and progressive, and it's where he's always situated himself. That's when Cory Booker says to Joe Biden, "You're dipping into the Kool-Aid. You don't even know the flavor." of the crowd, "Oh!" Trevor Noah said black people can make jokes like that or come up with phrases because white people don't know if that's actually a phrase or not. And so he kind of laughed about it, and it's not that good of a phrase. It comes out smooth. You're dipping into the Kool-Aid. You don't even know the flavor. So Cory was kind of saying that he's just way much, when it comes to criminal justice reform, Cory Booker is the bee's knees, the big cheese, the head honcho, the main squeeze, right? He's the big, I don't know, mongoose, meese, I don't know. So Cory Booker, he's a big cheese when it comes to criminal justice, so you're dipping into the Kool-Aid, Joe Biden. You don't even know the flavor. You're going to come after me for criminal justice, but you don't even know really what the hell's going on with criminal justice. So, he would love to put his record next to Joe Biden. He's okay with that. Cory Booker is hitting Joe Biden on the 94 crime bill, saying that he's the architect of mass incarceration. The 1994 crime bill had a bunch of elements: 3 strikes, you're out, mandatory minimums, a death penalty, and they also had some sort of a program where if you adopted it, then you would get some money for building prisons. So the 94 crime bill actually funded prisons, I want to say, by $6 billion versus $10 billion or something like that. So, there was some pork. There was some pork in the 94 crime bill. Only 10 states who had adopted their, zero tolerance, 3 strike, you're out policy. Well, that's, so you're going to have a lot of different elements. Joe says he hated the bad ones, liked the good ones, but he wrote the thing, and so his name's all over it, and there is mass incarceration. It's a crime bill. Of course it's going to increase mass incarceration. What Joe Biden can do now is pass some shit to fix those problems, and that's where Cory Booker is coming from. But, you know, the crime bill, everybody's opposed to crime, so it would be a universal. But Cory Booker is saying, well, that's Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not about criminal justice reform. He's about the crime bill. He's been signing every crime bill that's ever come up in Congress since the 1970s. And then that's the damn Democrats. The Clintons, they passed welfare reform. They passed a crime bill. They invaded countries. And what else did they do? So when it came to their progressiveness, they didn't have hardly any progressive things, just a bunch of Republican things. And so that's the genius of the Democrats. They became the Republicans. Republicans are off the charts. That's why we need an Eisenhower Republican in there now. We just need a nice, moderate Dwight D. Eisenhower moderate in the White House. Boring. Let's make politics boring. So Cory Booker said that Joe Biden is the architect of mass incarceration. Joe Biden throws back at Cory Booker that he got in trouble with the stop and frisk, zero-tolerance stop and frisk policies of Newark when he was mayor in 2007. So Joe Biden, he's going to say, well, mass incarceration in America, the crime bill, you know, it did have some things, but 90% of everybody in jail are put there by the state and by local authorities. So the laws of the state and the ways of the local and the state, that's why most of the people in America are in jail. So you can't say that he's the one that's responsible for mass incarceration in America. The feds, you know, lead on the conversation. So the local and the state a lot of times just mimic the feds. But that's a good, you know, answer. 90% of everybody in America in jail. So it's not the feds' fault that people are in jail in America. It's the states and the local governments. And then Cory Booker ended it off by saying he's for full-blown marijuana legalization at the federal level. So, you know, that little back and forth was actually pretty enlightening. Joe Biden was able to, you know, put some policy difference. He was able to make a distinction between the two policies. And that's interesting. That's interesting with Cory Booker and being the mayor of Newark and the stop and frisk thing. Let's talk about the baby bonds, okay? So baby bonds are kind of like UBI. You're going to get $1,000. Every baby's going to get a $1,000 savings account, and then they're going to get $1,000 on top of it for the next 18 years. So it's not as ambitious as UBI. It's basically like UBI, only, you know, a fraction of it, a minuscule version of UBI. This is also his reparations plan. So you have Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, who all have said they believe in reparations, but Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, their plan isn't reparations. Marianne Williamson definitely believes in reparations, and Cory Booker's plan, while it's not reparations, it is reparations. So it's a race-neutral way to close a racial gap. We got a racial gap of 10 to 1. Median income for white families are 10 times higher than the median income for black families. So that's incredible. I would like to know what is the median income for white and black families, but right now it's 10 to 1, which means that, you know, white families are just making, you know, money off the charts, and then black families are making just 1/10 of that. Okay? So this is Cory Booker's baby bonds is a great idea. This is his one main big idea, right? You got universal basic income with Andrew Yang, Medicare for all with Bernie Sanders, and then, you know, people have different. So Cory Booker's number one biggest idea are baby bonds. Okay? So baby bonds. Kamala Harris, and like I said, this is actually a reparations plan. Kamala Harris, she said that she is going to pass the LIFT Act, which is a middle-class tax credit, the earned income tax credit for middle-class families, and then somehow that's going to help 60% of poor black families get out. So that's Kamala Harris's reparations. Kamala Harris's reparations is to pass the LIFT Act, and then you get a massive expansion of the earned income tax credit, and now everybody's going to be wealthy. That's lazy and that's bullshit. That's not reparations. So Kamala Harris says she's for reparations, but she's not. And then Elizabeth Warren, she says that she supports legislation that help minorities get a down payment on a house or a home. So, you know, that could be a wealth redistribution program, but it's not Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson, through and through, she's going to get us reparations. Every black person in America is going to get a $12,000 check. And so that's her reparations plan. You get $500 billion from the federal government, past $12,000 to every black man, woman, and child. Everybody gets a $12,000 check there. Reparations is over. We repaired a relationship, with black folks because of our awful legacy of slavery. So, Cory Booker, all right? Cory Booker's got a race-neutral way to close the racial wealth gap. Let's listen to it. Let's see what this is. Now, this isn't different versions of this idea. This is actually implemented in the United Kingdom for 7 years. So you had Hillary Clinton, who had a different version. In 2008, she promised to drop $5,000 into every newborn American baby's savings account, and then it's attached to a down payment for a house or for college. And that's the same thing with Cory Booker. So there's, some bureaucracy there. He's going to, drop all this money into the kid's account, and then he's going to limit to the places where that money could be spent, just college or a house. So Hillary, in 2008, she promises to drop $5,000 to every baby's savings account, but just a one-time thing. Tony Blair, he was for some, baby bonds in 2001, and the Labour Party in the UK passed it from 2003 to 2010. The Conservatives cut the program off. So for 7 years, there was a baby bonds program in the United Kingdom. So there's a major race wealth gap, right? So this is going to help black folks, but it doesn't give it directly to black folks. The problem with, Marianne Williamson's reparation, what about the brown folks? Okay, black people are going to get a paycheck, so they're going to get something out of it. White people are absolved of their crimes. Now, brown people have a mixed legacy, right? Where sometimes they sided with the oppressor, sometimes they didn't, sometimes they were neutral. So what happens to the brown folks? They're going to get taxed, and they're going to have to pay for the black folks. Well, they're not the main ones who perpetuated it. So I think there's a question about brown folks. And also, you're going to have to, see who's black and who's not. So what about people that are, 50% black or 10% black? Do they get a check too? So there's some questions with Marianne Williamson. It seems like it's quicker, and to the point, but not really. Not really. Cory Booker, on the other hand, with his baby bonds, this is a race-neutral way to close the racial wealth gap, because here's what happens. It's called the American Opportunities Accounts Act. Every child born in the U.S. gets a savings account of $1,000, and each and every year, the U.S. government would drop about $1,000 to $2,000 into that kid's account until they turn 18 years of age. Now, it's dependent upon their parents' wealth. So it's dependent upon how wealthy their parents are, not their income, but how many, their assets, their wealth, their total wealth. So these American Opportunity Accounts, this idea is to give lower income kids a sizable nest egg, sometimes $50,000 for wealth building purchases like a down payment on a house or college tuition. So $2,000 for 18 year, that's what, 18 times 2,000, that's $36,000. So I don't know how it gets up to $50,000, but $36,000, your kid gets $2,000 every year. This also applies to every kid that's under 18 years of age. So say Cory Booker's elected president, then every kid that's born is going to get a baby bond, but also every kid that's under 18 years of age is going to get a baby bond too, and then they'll collect up until they turn 18 years of age. So this helps the very poor. And this is why it's going to help black folks out, because black folks are very poor. So this isn't saying we're going to help black folks just for black folks. This is saying we're going to help all Americans. And what ends up happening is that black kids are going to get on the average $29,000, brown kids $27,000, and then white kids are going to get $16,000. So $16,000 helps. And this is just because their parents are more wealthy, or, their parents are poor. So the wealthier the parents are, the less of the baby bonds you're going to get. And so I think, the ones who get zero, if you make $126,000 or more, you're not going to get anything except for the interest that's earned in low-risk stocks and bonds. So you'll get your $2,000 plus $300. So for the very wealthy, baby bonds, everybody gets one baby bond, but they don't get to add on to their baby bonds throughout the years. So for the rich kids, they only get $2,000 when they're born, and that's it. And then for the poor kids, they'll get $2,000 a year. So they'll get $2,000 to begin with, and then $2,000 every subsequent year after that. That's under 120. So not just poor kids, but a lot of middle class kids too. If your family makes $126,000 or less, then you will get more than the people get nothing. You'll get a baby bond, and you'll get maybe $1,000 bucks, maybe 500. But if you're making under 126,000, or if your wealth is under 126,000, because it's based on the parents' wealth and not their income. And I think that's very important. So instead of saying, okay, how much are you making right now? What's your overall wealth? How many assets do you own? How many stocks and bonds, and how much property, and how many investments do you have? And so by passing these baby bonds based upon wealth, it goes to every American, who fits the parameters of the poverty of their income, 126,000 or under. And then you'll get some money, and if you're poorer than that, then you'll probably get the maximum amount. And then after 18 years, if you're a white kid, you'll have a $16,000 savings account. You have $16,000 right there in your savings account for you to buy a house or for you to go to college. 16 grand. I mean, that's a chunk of change. Now, 29,000 is more, right? So the black kids are going to have on average 29,000, brown kids 27,000. So this helps the brown folks out. This helps the racial disparity, not between black and white, but between brown and white, too. So this helps brown kids, not as much as black kids. So apparently black kids on average are doing, the parents of black kids have less wealth than brown kids and white kids. But that's why it works so perfectly. So this baby bonds program, I really like. If we don't get universal basic income, I would like Bernie Sanders to take a look at Cory Booker's baby bonds program, because it's just a genius idea. He's going to pay for it with capital gains and the estate tax. So these, essentially soak the rich. Capital gains, estate tax. So black kids will get on average 29,000, brown kids 27,000, white kids 16,000. It's race neutral. It's only based upon your wealth. It's a fantastic program. It's not UBI, but it's kind of like it, and it helps. I guarantee you, if a white kid, has 16,000 or a black kid has 29,000, that's going to help them in their life. 29,000. Now, don't go to college. Put it on a house. Do not go to college with your baby bonds. Use it to put it on a house, because experience is actual education, and this college shit is for the birds. But that's okay. There's this program. So everybody is going to get $1,000 or $2 dropped into that kid's account, and then $1,000 or $2 is going to get dropped in every subsequent year for 18 years. So that's up to $36,000. Somehow, some of them could get $50,000, but maybe they just get more. But $36,000, right? 29 for blacks, 27 for brown, and 16 for whites. So this will help everybody out. This is good for all America's kids and our future, and it also gets them a good start, and then it helps close the racial wealth gap. So Cory Booker can say that this is a reparations program, where Kamala Harris and her LIFT Act, that is not reparations, not in the least, okay? So that's just, I'm going to pass a law and maybe it'll help black folks, versus I'm actually going to put money in black folks' pocket so they can break out of their chains. So, baby bonds is a great idea. $1,000, $2,000 dropped into everybody's account, and then, $1,000 or $2 dropped every subsequent year. It's kind of like UBI, but it's not everybody gets a $1,000 check. It's also not reparations, where only black folks get $12,000. This helps everybody out, and it's based upon their wealth. So it's based upon, how much assets that they own. So it's not based upon race. It's just based upon wealth. And because they're helping poor and working and middle classes out, not the wealthy might be opposed to it. They'll get, they'll start the savings account, so they'll get $2,000 into it in the very beginning, but they're not going to be, they're not going to be able to pile up on it and then have nice little nest egg when they graduate. So good job, Cory Booker. This is the baby bonds program I approve of, and I like very much. All right, peace.